Welcome to Getting Over It. Getting Over It is a pretty fun game. It's not the original sort of Faudian game, which I guess is what we're calling them now, but it is one of the more well-known sort of rage games. This game got really popular on YouTube really quickly. Um, you might know Bennett Foddy from QWOP, QWOP, which arguably, more popular than this one at a time. There was a time where where QWOP was, all over the internet. It was like, Nyan Cat, QWOP, that kind of thing, that kind of old YouTube. Um, it was for a while like the reaction content, right? And then years later, and I do mean years, like a significant number of years, this game comes out, and this becomes the new like React content, right? So you had all your favorite YouTubers with colorful hair. Mostly, I'm thinking of like Jacksepticeye, Markiplier. They were playing these games, um, and they were doing their over the top reactions, and part of it's definitely true. Like it's a frustrating game, um, and then part of it was played up because they're entertainers as well, and but that's ultimately what the game is, right? So like it's difficult to get a reaction more more so than anything else. But that reaction doesn't just have to be from YouTubers with a lot of like subscribers and like an incentive to react. Like playing the game, that reaction um comes from ourselves as well. And that's part of what makes the game satisfying to play is like frustration. It doesn't matter what the emotion is. People play scary games because they're scary. People play sad games because they're sad, and this is a frustrating game, and it doesn't really matter um like what the emotion is, because when it's a big emotion, it's one that sort of um we decide, I want to feel that again. Or maybe you only play the game to like overcome the challenge, and in which case that's kind of what I'm doing here, because like I've you know done this game, got the achievement. There's an achievement for getting getting over it, getting to the top of the mountain and beating the game 50 times. And while you can't see it because I'm on a fresh save file on a different computer from the one that I played this game on originally when it came out, I actually did do that. I got all 50 completions, and by the end of it I was able to beat the game decently fast, 6 to 10 minutes. I think my fastest time was like 5.5 minutes, but I never recorded it, so the fastest time that you'll be able to find from me is I think like 6 minutes. It's on YouTube somewhere. It's on my speedrun.com profile. I didn't really speedrun this game so much as I played it so much that I got decently fast at it. Although, 6 minutes for this game compared to the like average time on speedrun.com, really not that good. A lot of people are able to beat this in like a minute and some change. But that's kind of like, another thing is like I'm not here to give you the first playthrough with all the frustration. Like I'm not gonna get frustrated with the game because I'm familiar with it. Like I've got 50 hours, I think, roughly. It's a game that I keep coming back to because of the challenge. Um, and yeah, so you're not getting that sort of first playthrough reaction content that this game is so well known for. But equally, this game had a bit of a resurgence on YouTube during the pandemic, or maybe like 2021, which by all means is still during the pandemic, but usually when I say pandemic, I mean 2020. Although it is crazy just how fast 2021 flew by, because that was a pandemic year, but I kind of associate all the pandemic problems with 2020, which is of course not at all true. They still existed well into 2022 and arguably still exist now. I know we're a lot more lax with our COVID stuff, but it's definitely not gone. But you know, yeah, I'm not giving you the first playthrough reaction content. Equally, I'm not giving you the speedrunning content that is very popular on YouTube with regards to this game and many others. Speedrunning in general had a bit of a like blow up during the pandemic, partly due to some Minecraft speedruns, partly due to other factors that I don't know how familiar I am with the sort of like what's the word for this? Like the YouTubeification of speedrunning, the contentification. Whenever speedrunning turned into content was certainly pre-pandemic, but it just blew up, and there was so much more of it, right? It used to be that there was world record history videos that were, you know, if they weren't made by Summoning Salt, then they were really for a specific niche, right? The majority of people watching like the Wind Waker world record history video are people who are quite familiar with speedrunning and quite familiar with Zelda speedrunning in particular. Whereas like Summoning Salt really hits a bigger audience than that in general, I would think. But yeah, like when it came to the like contentification of speedrunning, this game popped up because the speedruns are just so impressive to watch, right? Like it's a game that's known for being tricky, it's a game that's known for being frustrating, and some people are just able to blast through it in, I mean, really a matter of seconds. It's not a long game once you you know, practice it and you get good at it, but it is a game that takes a lot out of you the first time. I think I had like and you know, I'm not particularly good at games. I just play games a lot. So you know, when it's a completely new kind of game like this, I definitely like struggle with it, probably above average, because I think my first playthrough of this game was about 4 hours long, right? Maybe 4 or 5 hours. Like it was long, I think, if you compare that to the average person playing this game. But you know, I'm sure equally like the strength to continue on is like as valuable as the ability to learn quickly. Because if getting to the top is the goal, then you know both people, the person who's able to pick it up really quickly and the person who's able to keep going until they get it, they both make it. You know, if you're short-tempered and you give up on the game before you're able to learn, you know, it doesn't matter how quickly you learn if you're short-tempered. Equally, like beating the game's not an important achievement. It's a goal we set ourselves, and you know, maybe you can get the value out of the game without even beating it. I remember when the game first came out, playing it, and I didn't want any spoilers because you know, people made such a big deal out of the game. So I had watched some people play the beginning of the game, but I didn't want to see what was at the end. Right? I didn't want to watch someone else get to the end. I wanted to do it myself. And so, you know, I got the general idea of the game and I was like, I'm gonna buy this. I think it's a couple pounds on Steam. You know, I can put some budget towards this and see what it's all about. And the the reward that's at the end of it is, um, you know, Bennett Foddy throughout the game has, you know, poetry and prose, about art and the nature of making it and stuff like that, and most importantly about like recycling, because like this whole game is recycled assets to make something new, right? But he says throughout the game like the game is trash. It's made of trash. These things, when you like take them out of their original context, they become garbage. Which is why you can only make a B game out of, you know, recycled assets or whatever, and that might be true. But I think what's interesting is that because, and I'll just say this now, right? The end of the game is sort of a living, breathing aspect because it's like a chat room, right? People beat the game and then they can chat in this room with other people who have climbed the mountain, which is a cool feature. And I remember at the time, getting there, and there was a you know few people in there, and they were like, "Oh, I just beat the game in like this much time," and it's like, "Wow, you're really a lot better than me." I think my time would have been maybe like 20-30 minutes though, because I definitely reset a few times on my first playthrough. Um, but you know, but like that chat room today is it's got bots in it, right? And it's not usually full of people that are excited to have beaten the game for the first time. You have to stay in there an awful long time um before you meet someone who's uh well, first of all, on a first playthrough, but second of all, authentic. You know, with all the bots and stuff, it's an interesting, um, like dynamic now going into the chat. It feels almost kind of lifeless, but still moving. And there's got to be an aspect in there where like, well, that's kind of art as well, right? Like, um, that. I mean, for what it's worth, like there are a lot of chat rooms on the internet, many of them which are fully dead, right? Fully dead. But how often is there a chat room like the one that exists in this game, which is associated with a particular achievement, um, that is like difficult to do, right? How many chat rooms have you climb a mountain first to join them? It's a different vibe. There's like a reason that being there is meaningful. And we're all there for the same reason. We've all gotten over the same journey. Some people, you know, several times. Other people, it's their first time. There's this idea of like seniority and stuff in this chat because, um, you know, because some of the rooms are, or some of the people in the room have just beaten the game in like a minute or two, and some people have taken much longer to get there, and that creates a sort of dynamic where there's, you know, there's seniority and um there's just like different sort of like hierarchy of player. You're a better player. Maybe I can ask you for advice. I've just beaten the game, but I've got 49 more climbs before I get the achievement, right? And that's like a whole other thing. So it is interesting that being the reward for beating the game is something that I think very few people predicted. Maybe nobody would have predicted it until they got there, right? Because it's so like different from a game to have this like embedded room to hang out in that's only for sort of the most elite players, the most accomplished. It's interesting. And it's even more interesting actually now that I mention like prestige and all of that. Like, well, it's created by the developer, right? That's another aspect of it because there are actually like there are chat rooms that are for like particularly talented video game players. Um, you have this idea in like Super Smash Bros. Melee. You have these group chats for like top players and stuff where they, you know, I mean, this is more of a thing back in the day where we didn't have online, but you have this idea where people like meet up and hang out and like they want to practice. They want to practice with people who are good at the game, right? So they have these exclusive chats. But that is also different in itself because it's not put there by anybody like associated with the game. It's created by the players. And if you want to talk about like stuff that's created by the players, then I mean this game has that too. This game does have that as well because there's mods for this game. There's different categories on speedrun.com. User created um, challenges and stuff. I don't know. It's interesting. I always find this mountain particularly difficult just because the challenge in itself is like, oh, climbing the mountain isn't hard, right? Like that this part of the mountain, if you know where the right sort of places to hook on are, it's actually tremendously easy. But when they're hidden by the snow, it becomes almost like just luck based. I mean, you can try and scope them out, and some people do know where they are, but for me, who's just trying to beat the game, it's maybe good enough. It's maybe good enough just to call it there. How about that? We've been going for 18 minutes, and I I don't think I have another 18 in me. So thank you for watching. This is a fun video. This is a fun game. You should try it. See you all later.